Alright, ladies and gents, today what our video is going to be talking about is the vertex form for a quadratic. Now, we saw this way back in the day when we were trying to do graph transformations of functions. We just didn't know what we were doing. So here, since we're talking about quadratics, this is going to be the vertex form for a quadratic. So if we're adding and subtracting on the inside, we're going to move to the left and right. If we're adding and subtracting on the outside, it's up and down. Okay. Well known fact, if we're in vertex form, our vertex is going to be hk. So it's x minus h and then plus k. Your h is going to be your x value of the vertex, your k is the y value. Then the axis of symmetry was x equals h. So the axis of symmetry is an equation of a line. It's going to be imaginary. So we've seen this before. Now we're just applying it to quadratics. So let's look at our example problem here. We have y equals x minus h squared plus 3. So that means our vertex is going to be 4, 3. And our axis of symmetry is going to be x equals 4. So I'm just going to do a rough sketch of this graph just to see where it's going. So axis of symmetry, I'm going to draw that first. So that line represents x equals 4. Our vertex is going to be 4, 3. It's right about in here somewhere. And our parabola is going to be symmetric about this axis. So it's going to be symmetric about this axis, so it's going to be the same on both sides. It's going to open up because it's positive there. So yeah, that's just a rough sketch. Alright. So that's how we graph parabolas. Just a quick rundown from before. Now we're going to look at quadratic equations like we've been seeing in this chapter, and we're going to write them in this form. Alright, here we're given a quadratic equation, but they want us to write it in vertex form and then sketch the graph. So to write it in vertex form, we're going to use the method completing the square to accomplish that. So before, when we complete the square, we set both sides equal to 0. We're not going to do that here. Since we're not solving anything, we're just going to work with it just as an equation. So what we are going to do is we are going to divide this middle term. We're going to treat it the same way we did before. So I'm going to say 16x or 16 divided by 2 squared, which is 64. So I'm going to add 64. Oops. And subtract 64 at the same time. So now this is the same equation. We just wrote it a little differently. So I'm just going to rewrite my equation. We got x squared plus 16x plus 64. Then these can combine. Well, I'm going to do that. So negative 64 plus 71 is plus positive 7. So now I'm going to factor these guys. I don't know why I put a squared here. That's weird. Okay, so y is equal to factors of 64 that add to 16. Well, the number that goes here is going to be the same number as here. So 16 divided by 2, which is 8. So now we have a vertex of negative 8, 7, and an axis of symmetry as x equals negative 8. I'm just going to do a rough sketch, I'm going to say. And then we have negative 8, 7. It's up there somewhere. And it's opening upward because this is because we have a positive out here, so it opens up. So it means it looks something like this. Okay. Alright, for this one, they want us to write in vertex form and determine the vertex and axis symmetry. So we don't have to graph it this time. It's basically what it's saying. So in the last problem, we saw that this term was 1, but here we got a 2, so we got to fix that before we do anything. But we are going to do completing the square as well. So if we complete the square, this also has to be 1. So I'm going to factor the 2 out of the first 2 terms, because that's primarily what we deal with when we're completing the square. Okay? So now we got give yourself some room. So now we're going to take our middle term divided by 2, then square it. 18 divided by 2 is 9. 9 squared is 81, so I'm going to add 81 and subtract 81 inside the parentheses. Now I didn't change my equation, I just wrote it differently. Now I want to treat this, I want to group these together. This is what I want to work with. So I need to get this guy, I need to get this out. The only way I can get that negative 81 out is if I multiply it to this 2. So 2 times negative 81 is 162. Okay. Now we're just going to continue. So negative 162 plus 170 is 8. Now factors of 81 that add up to 18, it's going to be this number right down here. So 18 divided by 2 is 9. Okay, now we're done. So we got a vertex of negative 9, 8, and an axis of symmetry of x equals negative 9. Alright, try these 4 problems out. I just want you to convert into vertex form. I feel like you should be a little comfortable with doing this, so good luck and I'll see you in class.